Great. So let's start back kind of in your university days and
Hmm.
tell me a little bit about why you went there, what your thought process was as you were going through. You said you kept everything very broad as a generalist. Was that because you figured it didn't matter to specialize, or you just found it, you said you found it interesting, it was fun for you. So what kind
Yes,
of eventually, why did you take you said the first role out of school was Rocket Internet?
exactly.
And but did you have internships during your 4 years? Is that traditional in Germany to have some work experience before you graduate?
Yeah, so the way it usually works in Germany is during your studies, you develop a vision for where you want to go.
Hmm.
So you do one or two or three internships there, and then you start as a full time in that role. For me, I always knew going into university, I always knew I wanted to start my own business eventually, and so I figured the best way to learn as much as possible about business is to look into a lot of different companies from a lot of different industries. So I never started business administration studies and were like, okay, I need to get into investment banking or I need to end up in private equity. It was
Hmm.
always the goal was to start a business, to change the world, and to truly have an impact. And so I did a lot of different things. I started interning at a small startup that was probably one of the internships where I learned the most. Then I worked for accelerators. Then I looked into a magic circle law firm. I was at the Federal Bank of Germany, and
Hmm.
so on. Until then, the end of my studies approached, and I realized, oh, actually, you learned a lot of things during your studies, but it still feels super theoretical. Like most of the things you learned in accounting or in controlling or in finance, you're not really certain how to apply them. And
Right.
so I faced the decision between doing my master's degree, like 90% of my study mates did, or I figured I might try this thing called consulting that I got in touch with over the last couple of months, because the University of Mannheim is one of the target universities
Mhm.
for consulting firms. So
But
they were doing recruiting.
weren't you too late, or was this in your junior, like your third year, or was this when you kind of decided I might do this?
That was in my third year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you still had
And
time.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was in my third year. And so I figured, okay, so either you do a master's degree or you do like a practical master, as I call it,
Hmm.
which would be consulting, basically trying different industries, trying different functions, and just seeing how that works. And then I figured after a couple of years, I can make an exit and become my own boss.
Did you feel like there were
Um,
enough engagements to actually get that broad of an education, or were you on like long-term engagements, or were you jumping around into enough industries where you felt like you got a pretty good experience?
yeah, so me myself, I did 12 projects in the
A lot.
3 years. So that was quite a good and healthy amount of projects.
Yeah, that's awesome.